Big black hair in the sausage. So I wrote off to the makers enclosing the hair, stuck it under a bit of sellotape, little arrow, "This is the hair." I emphasised I didn't want a substitute packet, because it was clearly manufactured under unhygienic conditions. So would they kindly send me a refund of the purchase price and the cost of postage? I don't want inundating with sausage. Keep wondering about the kiddie opposite. I haven't seen it for a week or two. And they're out all the time. Every single night they go off, and the kiddie doesn't go, and nobody comes in to sit. It can't be more than 5. Where do they get the money to go out? That's what I'd like to know, because he's not working. Spends all day tinkering with that car. There ought to be a bit less of the car and a bit more of the kiddie. Never plays out, and they want fresh air, do kiddies. It's a well-known fact. You don't hear it crying now, nothing. I've never seen a cloth on. Teapot stuck there. Milk bottle. It'll surprise me if they're married. He has a tattoo anyway. My mother knew everybody in this street. She could reel off the occupants of every single house. Everybody could once upon a time. Now they come and they go. That's why these tragedies happen. Nobody watching. If they knew they were being watched, they might behave. I've talked to next doors about it, only there hasn't been any contact since that business over the dustbins. And this other side's Asians, so they won't know what's normal and what isn't. Though I've a feeling he's been educated and their kiddies are always beautifully turned out. Just wish they'd do something about their privet. Thought I'd go and have a word with the doctor, drop a hint there somehow. There used to be just one doctor. Now they've all amalgamated, so it's a bit of a lucky dip. Young fellow. I said I was getting upset like I did before. Before what? He said. I said, it's in my notes. So he read them, and then he said, you've been getting a bit upset like you did before. I'll give you something to take. So I told him about the kiddie. He said, well, these tablets will help you take a more balanced view. I gave them 3 or 4 days, but they didn't seem to me to make much difference, so I went along again. Different doctor this time, same rigmarole. I said I didn't want any more tablets. I just wanted the name of the firm manufacturing the ones I'd already had, because I think they ought to be told if their product isn't doing the trick. The doctor said it would be easier to give me some new tablets, and anyway, I couldn't write. The firm was Swiss. I said, what difference does that make? Everybody speaks English now. He said, we don't want to get into that, do we? And writes me another prescription. I shan't bother with it. In fact, I put it down the toilet. I don't know who you write to about doctors. After I'd had my tea, I sat in the front room in the dark, watching the house. He's messing about with that car. One of those little vests they have now, without sleeves. No kiddie still. I don't even know their name. Thinking about it afterwards, I realised it must have been the doctor that alerted the vicar. Came round anyway. Not the old vicar, I'd have known him. This was a young fella in a collar and tie, could have been anybody. I didn't take the chain off. I said, how do I know you're the vicar? Have you any identification? He shoves a little cross round the door. I said, what's this? He said, it's a cross. I said, a cross doesn't mean anything. Youths wear crosses now, hooligans. They wear crosses in their ears. He said, not like this. This is a real cross, a working cross. It's the tool of my trade. I still felt a bit dubious. Then I saw he had cycle clips on, so I let him in. Chats for a bit, this and that. Long time before he got round to God. They keep him up their sleeve for as long as they can, Vickers. They know it puts people off. Went through a long rigmarole about love, how love comes in different forms. Loving friends, loving the countryside, loving music. People would be surprised to learn, he said. And I thought, here we go. People would be surprised to learn that they loved God all the time and just didn't know it. I cut him short. I said, if you've come round here to talk about God, you're barking up the wrong tree. I'm an atheist. He was a bit stumped, I could see. They don't expect you to be an atheist when you're a miss. Because they think if you're a single person, they're on a good wicket. He said, well, Miss Ruddock, I shall call again. I shall look upon you as a challenge. He'd not been gone long when there's another knock. This time it's a policeman with a woman policeman in tow. Ask if they can come in and have a word. I said, what for? He said, you know what for. I said, I don't, but I let them in. Takes his helmet off, only young, and says he'd come straight to the point. Was it me who'd been writing these letters? I said, what letters? I don't write letters. He said, letters. I said, everybody writes letters. I bet you write letters. He said, not like you, love. I said, don't love me. You better give me your name and number. I intend to write to your superintendent. Turns out it's to do with the couple opposite. I said, well, why are you asking me? He said, we're asking you because who was it wrote to the chemist saying his wife was a prostitute? We're asking you because who was it gave the lollipop man a nervous breakdown? I said, well, he was interfering with those kiddies. He said, the court bound you over to keep the peace. This is a serious matter. I said, it is a serious matter. I can't keep the peace when there's cruelty and neglect going on under my nose. I shouldn't keep the peace when there's a child suffering. It's not my duty to keep the peace then, is it? So then Madam takes over. The understanding approach. She said, didn't I realise and appreciate that this was a caring young couple? I said, if they're a caring young couple, why did you never see the kiddie? If they're a caring young couple, why did they go gadding off every night, leaving the kiddie alone in the house? She said, because the kiddie wasn't alone in the house. The kiddie wasn't in the house. The kiddie was in hospital in Bradford, and that's where they were going every night. And that's where the kiddie died on Friday. I said, what of neglect? She said, no, leukemia. He said, you better get your hat and coat on. Got two social workers come. One white, one black. Maureen, I'm supposed to call the white one. Shocking fingernails, ginger hair, and last week a hole in her tights as big as a 50p piece. She looks more in need of social work than I am. Puts it all down to men. We all know about men, don't we, Irene? I never said she could call me Irene. I don't want to be called Irene. I want to be called Miss Ruddock. I'm not Irene. I haven't been Irene since Mother died. But they all call me Irene. Her, the police, everybody. They think they're being nice, but it's just a nice way of being nasty. The other one's Asian. Mrs. Rabindi. Little red spot on her forehead, all that. Sits, talks. She's right enough. She said I'd be useful in India. You can earn a living writing letters there, apparently. They're all illiterate.